There is a name that does not appear in a single economics textbook used in Harvard, Yale, or any major American university. Not one. Search every syllabus. Flip through every index. That name is not there. And what this man understood about wealth, over 900 years ago, would quietly dismantle the story modern finance has spent centuries building around itself. The year is 1095. The markets of Baghdad stretch for miles. The gold moves through the hands of merchants the way water moves through a river. Fast, powerful, and completely unaware of what happens when it stops. A scholar sits in a corner of the city's greatest library. His name is Zubairi Al-Ghazali. He is not counting coins. He is watching people, watching what wealth does to them, what it turns them into, what it quietly destroys inside a society, while everyone else is too busy celebrating the growth to notice the rot spreading underneath. Eat high, viewers. Has money ever made someone you personally know change for the worse? Drop your answer in the comments right now. The findings Zubairi records in those manuscripts will not just explain the fall of empires. They will describe, with frightening precision, the world you are living in today. But before that warning lands, you need to understand exactly who this man was and why the system that runs your money has never once wanted you to find him. The year Zubairi picks up his pen, so 3 continents are connected by a single nervous system of trade. Silk from China, spices from India, gold from West Africa. It all passes through the Islamic Golden Age like blood through a heart. Baghdad is the center, and at the center of Baghdad, wealth is not just moving, it is multiplying. Most men in that city look at the markets and see opportunity. Zubairi Al-Ghazali looks at the same markets and sees a clock ticking. He sees something that prosperity always tries to hide, that every system of wealth carries inside it the exact mechanism of its own destruction. He begins writing, not to celebrate what commerce has built, but to document what happens when the rules that protect it get quietly rewritten by the people who benefit most from breaking them. The warning he leaves behind is not a theory. It is a map. And every road on it leads somewhere history has already been. Zubairi Al-Ghazali is 37 years old when the weight of what he is seeing becomes impossible to ignore. He teaches at the Nizamiya, the most respected institution of learning in the medieval world. Students travel from 3 continents to sit in front of him. Rulers send messengers asking for his opinion on policy. He is not a poor man watching wealth from a distance. He is inside the room where decisions get made. And that is exactly what terrifies him. Because inside that room, Zubairi watches something shift. The merchants who once built wealth by moving real goods, grain, fabric, copper, livestock, begin changing their behavior. Slowly at first, then all at once. They stop creating. They start extracting. The market stalls that once hummed with exchange begin to feel hollow. Prices stop reflecting value. They begin reflecting power. Zubairi watches a man named Dakarai, a grain trader from the southern provinces, arrive in Baghdad with 3 camels loaded with wheat. Within 1 season, Dakarai stops bringing wheat. He starts buying contracts on wheat he has never touched and never intends to deliver. The grain does not move, but the gold does. And Zubairi Al-Ghazali writes down exactly what that means and what always comes next. But the first thing Zubairi identifies is the one behavior that every collapsed economy in history shares. It is not war. It is not drought. It is not even corruption in the obvious sense. It is stillness. Money that stops moving kills the system that created it. Zubairi writes it plainly. He compares wealth to blood inside a living body. When blood circulates, the body functions. Organs receive what they need. Energy moves from one part of the system to another. The whole thing stays alive. But when blood pools, when it stops moving and collects in one place, the body does not simply slow down. It begins to collapse from the inside, quietly, before anyone can see the damage on the outside. He watches it happen in real time. A merchant named Kwame, one of the wealthiest men operating the Baghdad trade routes, stops reinvesting his gold into new commerce. He builds a vault, then a second vault, then a third. Kwame is not spending. He is not lending. Oh, he is not creating work for anyone. He is sitting on wealth the way a boulder sits on a river, and the river is slowing down. The stalls around Kwame's district begin going quiet, one by one. What Zuberi writes next is not a philosophical observation. It is a warning. And the second stage he identifies is darker than the first, because this one is deliberate. Hoarding wealth is passive destruction. What comes next is active. Zuberi watches the moment Dakarai and men like him stop trading goods entirely. They begin trading on the idea of goods, contracts on harvests that have not grown, agreements on metals that have not been mined, prices set not by the weight of wheat in a man's hands, but by the rumor of what wheat might be worth in 3 months if the season turns bad. Zuberi calls this the Great Disconnect. The moment wealth separates from work, the moment a man can grow richer without producing anything real for any other human being. He watches a young trader named Omari triple his fortune in a single season without ever leaving the city. Omari never touches a single item he trades. He just moves numbers, adjusts contracts, creates artificial pressure in the market at exactly the right moment, then sells before the pressure releases. The farmers bringing actual grain into Baghdad are earning less than they were 5 years ago. Omari is earning more than anyone in the district. Zuberi puts down his pen. He looks out over the market. He understands now that the system has not just been bent. It has been quietly handed to people who have no interest in keeping it alive for anyone else. And when fairness disappears from a market, something far more dangerous moves in to fill the space it leaves behind. The morning Zuberi Al-Ghazali walks through the Eastern Market District, the silence stops him cold. 6 months ago, this street had noise, vendors calling out prices, carts rolling over stone, the smell of spices thick enough to taste. Now the stalls stand half empty. The merchants who remain are not selling. They are waiting, and the waiting has a different feeling than patience. It feels like fear wearing a calm face. Zuberi stops in front of a fabric trader named Celestine. She has run the same stall for 11 years, built it from nothing, raised 2 children on what it earned. And today, her hands are folded on a counter with almost nothing on it. He asks her what happened. She does not answer right away. She looks down the street at the empty spaces where other traders used to be. Then she says 7 words that Zuberi writes down that same evening. Nobody trusts what anything is worth anymore. That sentence becomes the center of his third and most urgent warning. He writes that gold does not hold a market together. Contracts do not hold a market together. The only thing that has ever held any financial system together, in any civilization, in any century, is trust. And trust, once broken in a market, does not return on its own. It has to be rebuilt, deliberately, painfully, over years, and the rulers of Baghdad are doing the exact opposite. Fast forward 900 years. September 2008. The trading floors of New York look nothing like the markets of medieval Baghdad. The screens are different. The suits are different. The language is different, but a woman named Imani, a 34-year-old loan officer in Detroit, is packing a box at her desk on a Tuesday morning because the bank she worked for no longer exists. She built her career on the assumption that the numbers she was given meant something real. They did not. The products her bank sold were contracts on assets that had never been properly valued, traded, repackaged, and sold again until nobody in the system could explain what anything was actually worth anymore. Dakari's contracts, Omari's speculation, Kwame's hoarding, all of it, wearing a different name, in a different century, on a different continent. Zubairi Al-Ghazali described every single stage: hoarding, speculation, manipulation, collapse of trust. He wrote the sequence down in 1095. He identified the pattern with the same precision a doctor uses to describe the stages of a disease. And in 2008, the world walked through every stage he described, in exact order, which raises the question that most economists still refuse to answer out loud. Zubairi Al-Ghazali was never against wealth. Read his manuscripts carefully, and that becomes clear fast. He did not believe money was the problem. He believed money without responsibility was the problem. Wealth that circulates, creates, employs, and serves the people around it. That wealth, Zubairi wrote, was one of the most powerful forces for human dignity ever created. But wealth that hoards, that speculates without producing, that manipulates trust and leaves entire communities holding the damage. That wealth does not build civilizations, it ends them. The pattern he documented has repeated across centuries. Different markets, different currencies, different names on the buildings, same 4 stages, same collapse, same communities paying the price for choices they never made. A scholar in 11th century Baghdad saw it all coming. He wrote every word of it down. The only question history keeps asking, and never gets a clean answer to, is not whether the pattern will repeat. It is whether anyone will recognize it before the silence returns to the streets. If this story made you think differently about wealth and power, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because the conversations that happen in the comments are the ones that actually change minds. Drop your thoughts below and tell us what stage you think we are in right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story on this channel that connects the past to the world you are living in today. Because the next story we are releasing will make this one look like the introduction.